I had no bank account, no credit cards, nothing. I didn't exist in this country. And so I had to find a way to buy property quickly. And the only way I could do this was through your course. In 4 months, I now own 4 properties. And what's nice about it now is that I have a positive cash flow coming in of around about $1,500 a month. That's spendable cash. Each property has about $10,000 equity.
About $40,000.
Which I can use at any time to buy other property. Literally within 2 weeks of buying your course, I bought a property, cleaned it up, mowed the lawn, painted it, and 2 weeks after that, I'd sold it and made $21,000 clear profit.
$21,000 spendable cash?
Spendable cash.
Oh, that's great.
In terms of profit, after the first 8 months after I completed your course, I had $230,000 in profit.
$230,000?
$230,000.
In less than 1 year?
In less than 1 year. After almost 15 months, that had gone to almost $350,000. My positive cash flow is just over $25,000 a year.
Congratulations, Pete.
I've eliminated the worries of the Social Security system going out of business, and it's nice to know that you have positive cash money that flows in each and every month.
Welcome to the Carleton Sheets Real Estate video series and this presentation, Overcoming Fear and Uncertainty. And now your host, Carleton Sheets.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Every one of you deserves to be prosperous, financially self-sufficient. Every one of you can be this way. I wonder why it is in our country that there is so much poverty and welfare, so much dependence. I think it's kind of sad that when people reach the retirement age, that 97% are going to be dependent upon their government for their room and board. Only 2% are going to be self-sufficient. I'm talking about having enough for basic room and board. And only 1% are going to be truly wealthy or affluent. I guess there are a variety of reasons to explain this sad state of affairs, but I'm convinced that 2 of the big ones are fear and uncertainty. They're mind killers. They're the kind of emotions that can keep you getting up every day for the rest of your life to go to a job that you hate, to go to a job that's getting you nowhere. Because when you're full of fear and uncertainty, you lose faith in yourself. Your mind becomes confused. You're paralyzed, unable to take action, unable to ask for what you want. Procrastination becomes a way of life. You're full of doubt, full of skepticism. Fear and uncertainty limit you. It stagnates you. It creates roadblocks, stumbling blocks. And I think it leads to self-defeating behavior. And getting ahead, that's an alien idea for most people in this situation, because fear keeps you from trying. It erodes your self-esteem, damages your self-confidence. When you're full of uncertainty and fear, though, your subconscious begins to come into play. It's okay, it tells you, and it immediately seeks to legitimize your fear by developing some very reasonable-sounding excuses. I don't have enough time. I'm too fat. I'm not attractive enough. I'm unhappy. I'm sick. I have too many responsibilities. I have no money. I've got no credit. I don't have enough education. I'm unloved. I don't have any support. What I want to do won't work. I'm too old or too young. I'm a woman. I'm an ethnic minority. I speak with an accent. And of course there are reasons for all of this. It's your family, your mother, father, your heredity, because of the teachers you had in school, because of your friends, the economy, the neighborhood, the bad job you have, your boss, your spouse, bad luck, and on and on and on. We've all used these excuses in our lives. Why? Because they make us feel comfortable. They make us feel we're right. All of the reasons you have for not doing something with your life you think are based on rational thinking, an objective assessment of the factual data at hand. And I say it's rubbish. Your thoughts come not from accurate thinking, but from habitual thinking. For years, most of your life, you've accepted this flawed thinking as a fact. And you've lived your life as if these warped ideas about you and your relationship to the universe were true. And you ceased your bold experiment in living. Maybe it happened at the age of 8 or 10, 20 or 25, or maybe 50 or 55, but it happened. You may not be one of these people, but if you are, until you are able to deal with your fears and uncertainty, you're never going to experience what I call the good life. Because people like this are resentful of the life they lead. They're bitter about what life and chance has thrust upon them. And they live from day to day in their own dismal worlds, almost oblivious to the opportunity and the beauty that surrounds them. In this wonderful, free, abundant society of ours, they are prisoners of their own excuses and bad attitudes. Oh, they're unhappy, they're bitter, they're confused, they're frustrated, and they drift through life like a ship without a rudder, subject to every whim of fate, prey to every negative event, and self-centered to the end. And you know, it doesn't have to be this way. For all of us, including these people I've just described, life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We get what we expect. What Henry Ford said is true. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right either way. Because if you're a happy, achieving, prosperous human being right now, pat yourself on the back. If you're a down-and-out person, you're drifting, you're fearful, angry, pat yourself on the back. Because in either case, you can take full credit. Either way, you're the one. Because let me assure you that the good life is not reserved for those with a good heredity or for those who grew up in a good environment. It's not a private club for the wealthy or those with high IQs or those who are attractive to look at. It's open to everyone despite heredity, environment, financial, physical, emotional, or mental shortcomings, anyone who has the desire and the perseverance to make it. Life does not choose a few individuals to prosper. Life has no favorites. Opportunities in this country are like the rays of sun. They're available for everyone. And you can choose to bask in those rays, or you can hide in the shade. It's up to you. Do something for me. And I want you to write this down, even put it on the inside of your medicine cabinet door and look at it every day. I want you to write down, the only one who can change my situation in life is me. The only one who can change my situation in life is me. Read it, study it, and believe it.
I saw it on the show on television, and it got me thinking. And I was very dissatisfied with where my career was going at the time. I was doing, by many standards, pretty well, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't what I wanted. So I decided that, being that there was no risk with your guarantee, that I would order the course, give it a shot. So I left my job, said goodbye to corporate America, which was a little bit scary, but more exciting than anything else. For 6 months, I've earned $57,000, which is effectively what I earned in a whole year in corporate America. So I feel as though I've doubled my income, and I'd like to thank you for that.
Oh, congratulations to you.
Within 2 months of buying your course, I was able to locate a property that was a foreclosure and sold it and made a $12,000 profit in just a matter of a couple of months.
I ordered the course. I didn't tell my husband because I knew that he would tell me that I was just wasting money, that these are all scams. And I thought, well, this would be a lot easier if we could have extra income coming in a month. This is my goal, to have income coming in every month to pay my mortgage and pay my bills, but have somebody else pay for them. And then this way I would have more spending money to spend on the kids.
And then you went out and did what?
Within 9 days, by the 9th day, I signed an agreement of sale. And I bought my first property with no money down, and I have a positive cash flow of $160 per month. That helps me out.
And you've really made a believer out of your husband now.
Absolutely. Now he's like, go out, just do it, keep doing it.
What I'm going to be telling you right now is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. You're going to have to overcome the fact that approximately 90% of the outside data which feeds into your conscious mind every day is negative. And fear feeds on that negativism. The average person has about 1,000 thoughts per day, 365,000 a year. And because of the negative input you're exposed to, most of your thoughts, if you're average, are negative. It's a cause-effect relationship. I can liken this to the emotional and financial poverty, if you will. In India, for example, parents pass down unknowingly, unintentionally, pass down poverty from generation to generation to generation. This same thing is happening in our country with families on welfare. Since our policy of government entitlements began, we are now seeing third and fourth generation welfare recipients. Welfare crippleizes and demoralizes people. Poverty begets more poverty and impoverishment. I believe impoverishment is more than just a lack of money. When I talk about impoverishment, I'm talking about a self-concept, how you see and how you feel about yourself. Most impoverished people believe that for a change to occur, someone else has to do it for them. Family, friends, government. Change starts with your mind. And it's simple to change the way you think. It really is. It's a personal choice. As you change the way you think, by thinking positive thoughts about inspiring yourself and changing for the future, you'll find that you do indeed change for the better, because we move in the direction of our dominant thoughts. That's why alcoholics drink more. That's why rich people get richer and fat people get fatter. You can't lose sight of the fact that where you want to be is everything. What you have not done, not been, not thought is irrelevant. Now is the only time there is. The past is gone. Now is the time to choose today, this minute, to change your life. Just as impoverishment is financial and emotional and intellectual bankruptcy, so too is prosperity more than money. It's a state of mind. Everyone wants prosperity. They want recognition. They want achievement. And you know what? You can have every one of these things. You have no limits. Fear and uncertainty deserve no space in your mind. But to get to where you want to be, from where you are right now, is going to require change. I believe that all of you are watching this program because you want to make changes in your life, and change is necessary. Because to get someplace you've never been, or to be someone you've never been, you've got to start doing something you've never done. But I can assure you that the major changes you are going to have to make from this moment on are between your left ear and your right ear. Because all of the techniques and strategies in the world that are designed to make you wealthy, to gain self-confidence, to gain self-esteem, overcome fear and uncertainty, all the techniques in the world will only work if you can gain control over yourself, because that's the ultimate power. The ultimate power in the world, control over yourself. So what do you do? Well, first, decide you want to make a change to improve yourself financially, spiritually, or emotionally. For now, don't get caught up in the how-to. As Dr. Robert Schuller says, make a decision first, then solve the problem. Some people get so bogged down. They make a career out of laying the groundwork to do anything. Getting ready is a stalling tactic, a game of self-delusion. I know there are thousands and thousands of people that buy my real estate course, and once they get it, they put it up on a shelf in their closet. And you know why? They're getting ready. If you get caught up in a step-by-step plan, you're going to find yourself worrying about potential roadblocks you'll encounter. And when you do that, you know what that leads to? Fear and uncertainty. Believe me, once you make a decision and you get started, a whole variety of now invisible forces, forces that you don't even see right now, are going to come into play. Your ideas, luck, inspiration, friends, professional people, and a whole host of people that you've never even met before. All of these forces are going to change your world when you behave differently, when you take action to get what you want.
I'd seen the show over a period of time, 4 or 5 times, and was real skeptical because I thought if anybody would sit there and could make this kind of money, why would he tell anybody else? We was having a hard time making ends meet to begin with, and that's why my wife kind of mentioned that I had to be nuts to order a course and spend money we didn't have. And since we've done that, our net worth has gone up quite considerably and quite quickly.
What is your net worth now, John?
About $800,000.
All from real estate?
All from real estate.
In what period of time?
A year and a half.
In a year and a half, almost $1 million?
Yes.
Ah, congratulations.
In 1 year of investing, using my course, you now have a net worth of
about $1.2 million.
about $1,200,000.
Yes, sir.
And a monthly income, spendable cash,
For about $6,800.
$6,800 a month.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
It's
We say
wonderful.
We say
you know,
thank you. We can't thank you enough.
You've got over $80,000 a year from your real estate investing. Why don't you just go ahead and retire?
You're too young yet.
I'm still too young, Carleton. My dad worked hard his whole life. Never lived long enough to even enjoy retirement. And to realize that I don't have to be concerned about layoffs or downsizing.
And you really have total control over your own destiny.
Yes.
Yes. Not as much perhaps as others might, but I was able to move Janet and Jacqueline into a new $250,000 home in Richmond and did it without any cash.
No money
in fact,
down.
we left closing with some cash
In your pocket.
in our
That's right.
pocket. I was able 60 days later to give Janet a new Mercedes Benz for our 20th wedding anniversary. We've given ourselves matching Rolex watches.
What do you say if people watching this show are thinking to themselves, these guys must be actors? I can't believe it.
No, we're not actors. You know, your regular job, you're working for somebody else, always. And that's never going to change. With real estate, you're working for yourselves and your future. And every purchase you make is a step on that ladder to your success. It really works.
So you're having fun as a real estate
Oh,
investor.
absolutely.
This keeps us pumped up. We're enthusiastic all the time. Our jobs are just jobs, but real estate is fun. It gives us a sense of purpose. You know, it just kind of makes you feel great about what you do.
Tom and Janet, how has your real estate investing affected your daughter's education?
Our real estate investments have allowed us to fund her college education. They're allowing her to go to Australia this summer for 3 weeks as a student ambassador with the People to People program. We were able to put a car in the garage for her about a week after her 16th birthday.
Oh, that's wonderful. Will there be problems on the way? Oh, sure, that's part of life. You want to see some people without problems? Go to your local cemetery. You've got problems now, sure you do, and you always will have. But whether these problems become stepping stones to your success or roadblocks to success is up to you. And that's why goals are so important. They're a prelude to action. Goals are a highway to your dreams. They give you a track to run in. Goals are as important to your success. Whatever you're trying to achieve, financial, emotional, whatever, they are as important to your success as the oxygen you breathe. I met a young man once who was telling me how unhappy he was. He said things are not going well. He'd been out of college for 5 years, and I said, how long has this been going on? And he said, since I graduated from school. And I said, who was responsible for your 5-year plan? Your 5-year plan is going to consist of all of the goals you want to achieve during that period of time. A young woman once told me, she said, I'm having trouble coming up with goals. I don't know what I want. Isn't that interesting? And some of you may be experiencing the same thing. Here's what I would suggest to you. Pick a quiet time. Lie down on a bed or a couch and listen to those voices within you. The voices that no one else can hear. Because those are your dreams and your thoughts. They're your desires. They're your goals. This is the crystallization process I'm talking about, and it's so important because every one of you have goals floating all around in your head right now, whether you know it or not. Some of those goals are very weak and some are very strong. Some are conflicting. Some are very clear and vivid. Others are difficult to define. But until you can bring some order and logic and sequence into all of that maze of confusion that constitutes your goals right now, even the goals that are closest at hand are going to be impossible to achieve. Because the human mind works in a very orderly fashion. Works like a computer, and it doesn't function well under chaotic conditions. Your crystallization process is going to be done on several levels. For example, intangible goals. They're all the goals relating to relationships and character building traits. They're important, by the way, and they can help you achieve other goals. But the goals I want you to focus on are the goals having to do with achieving prosperity. Because listen to this. I believe as uncertainty and fear are like a prison that you're in, financial success and prosperity are keys out of that prison. I spoke earlier about some of the invisible forces that will help you achieve your goal and your goals. And one of those is your reticular activating system. It's located at the base of the brain, and its function is to filter out useless information. I'm sure that some of you husbands and wives listening now can recall reading the newspaper while your husband or wife was talking, and you had no idea in the world what he or she was saying, but you were nodding your head, and all of a sudden they asked you a question, and you didn't know what the question was. That was your reticular activating system at work. Reticular activating system filters out useless information, at the same time helps you to become more perspective. It helps direct you. Let me give you an example. How many of you here have bought a car within the last 90 days, new or used? Anyone? What color is it?
It's a pearl white.
A pearl white car. And without asking what model or brand it is, have you all of a sudden seen or you notice more pearl white cars of that same model, that same year, since you bought your car?
They're pretty rare.
Absolutely. It's a pretty rare. It's a Cadillac Eldorado.
A Riviera.
A Riviera. Okay? But what few you see, or what few go by, you don't miss, do you? That's your reticular activating system at work, making you more perceptive. Short-term goals, those are the goals that you hope to achieve within 1 year, I think are most important. They're most important because they are like a stairway to the second floor where your long-term goals are located. Short-term goals are important because they offer you immediate benefit and they're a source for immediate satisfaction. And every time you reach one of your short-term goals, it's like going up a stair, one more step toward that goal to reach the second floor. Goals give you a direction and they prevent wandering. And I can tell you that while there are no instant millionaires, no matter what you're doing, there are no long-term millionaires without goals. I talked earlier about problems or potential barriers, and if you have your goals firmly entrenched in your mind, and if you are determined, you're going to find a way around those barriers. The important thing is not avoiding them. That's impossible. But rather finding a way around, over, or through them, because success demands that. Some of the barriers you're going to face are time, not enough of it, credit, lack of money, fear, self-doubt, education. You're all going to find those little problems cropping up when you do what I'm telling you to do, but don't get sidetracked. As a matter of fact, every barrier that you reach, if you don't turn back, that is really an opportunity for your dream to become a reality, whatever it is. Will you fail from time to time? Oh, sure you will. You and I know that Abraham Lincoln, before he became president, failed 7 times, 7 major failures. Thomas Edison, who conducted more than 1,200 experiments in inventing the incandescent light bulb. Someone asked Mr. Edison once how he could stand failure, how he could fail so many times. And he said, I haven't failed 1,200 times, I've just found 1,200 ways not to do it. Getting through these barriers that I just mentioned, whatever they are, lack of support from your husband, from your wife, time, credit, whatever they are, is going to require 2 things. Number 1, a positive attitude, a determination, I can do it. And number 2, what I would call developed ingenuity or creativity. Children, I believe, are most creative before the age of 6. That's when psychologists tell us that children are most creative. And then what happens? They go to school, and they're told that there's only one right answer to every question. Don't rock the boat. Do what we're telling you to do. What happens? They stop striving. They stop thinking creatively. And this, to me, is all part of being impoverished. That's the mental bankruptcy that I told you about earlier. So how do you become creative? You learn it. You know, we were all born the same as far as creativity is concerned. I had a nice compliment from someone that I was negotiating with the other day, and they said, you're one of the most creative people I've ever met, and that made me feel good. Whatever little bit of creativity I have in my mind and in my soul has come from developing it over the years that I've been a real estate investor. And that's, again, what I try to teach in all of my home study courses. Every problem you face, I don't care whether it's a real estate-related problem or whether it's a domestic problem, emotional problem, every problem you face has at least 10 solutions. Set aside some time to think about them. The first few are going to come easy, and then it's going to be like pulling teeth, but eventually you can come up with 10 solutions to every problem. If you reach a dead end, come back to it later. The key, again, is determination. Determination demands direction, and that's where goals come into play. I heard a story the other day about creativity that I thoroughly enjoy. It's about a young college student who is taking a physics exam. And one of the questions on the physics exam was, how do you tell the height of a tall building using a barometer? And as I acknowledged a moment ago, our teachers in life are constantly trying to destroy our creativity because they're always looking for that one right answer to every question. Well, the student stared at that exam question. How do you tell the height of a tall building using a barometer? It didn't seem that specific to him. So he wrote down in his paper, he said, I'd get a long rope. He said, I'd go up to the top of that tall building with my barometer and my long rope. He said, I'd tie the rope securely to the barometer. He said, I'd go over to the edge of the building and I'd lower the rope till I saw the barometer touch the ground. Then he said, I'd pull it up, I'd measure the rope, and that would give me the height of the building. Well, it's very creative, but that was not the accepted right answer. Matter of fact, that wasn't even a physics answer. So the test came back from the professor with a great big red X through that question, and it kind of upset the student. He went in the professor's office and he said, Professor, you asked on the exam how you tell the height of a tall building using a barometer. You really weren't that specific. And you know, when you get down to it, I did give you a right answer. Well, the professor kind of leaned back in his chair a little bit, and he said, I guess you've got a tiny point there. I'll tell you what, he said, if you can tell me right now how to tell the height of a tall building using a barometer, I'll give you full credit for that question. Student said, I think that's very fair, Professor. He thought for a minute. He said, Professor, I believe I'd go up to the top of that tall building with a stopwatch and your barometer. He said, I'd go to the edge of the building, and he said, I'd throw the barometer off the building. He said, I'd carefully time to see how long it took to hit the ground, and then by using the law of falling bodies, S equals 1 FAT squared, I'd know how tall the building was. Professor couldn't believe it. He finally said to the student, he said, I'm going to go ahead and give you full credit for that question for being a little bit creative. So that pleased the student, and they talked for a while, became kind of friendly. And then the student got up to leave, and the professor said, wait a minute. Before you leave, do you by chance know of any other ways to tell the height of a tall building using a barometer? Well, the student said, Professor, there are many ways to do that. He said, for example, he said, I could go out on a sunny day. He said, I could measure my barometer shadow, walk over, measure the shadow of the building, and by applying a simple ratio, I'd know how tall the building was. He said, I could go down in the stairwell of the building, walk down to the bottom of the stairs, knock on the superintendent's door, and when the superintendent comes to the door, I just say, Mr. Superintendent, you can see I have in my hand here a very fine, expensive barometer. If you'll tell me how tall this building is, I'll give you this barometer. Aren't those our teachers in life? Always telling us that there's only one right answer to every question. You know, as we overcome our fear and uncertainty, and we try to come up with a plan for the next 5 years, if that plan is oriented toward our financial independence or improving ourselves financially, we have a lot of things to choose from. You probably could get involved in a multi-level market distributorship. You could get involved in home selling with one of the fine products that are available doing that. Let's take a look at the so-called standard brands of investing that you think about when you think about investing money. How about the stock market? Even though a full 60% of the people who invest in the stock market lose money today, I really believe if you're shrewd, you can make in the 10 to 12% range. Mutual funds, maybe a little bit more conservative, but you can make a good return in mutual funds. In fact, some of them have done extraordinarily well over the last few years, even up in the 20% range, but on average, I would say, 12%. How about bonds? Depending on the bond you buy, somewhere today in the 6 to 8% range. How about savings accounts? Aren't they great? Well, you're saying 3.5. What are savings accounts paying today? More like 2.25, 2.5. Of course, if you've got a little bit more money and you're willing to tie it up for a longer period of time, you can buy a what? A CD. And here you can earn, I saw one advertised the other day for 5.25, so I'd say 4.5 to 5.5%. How about gold and silver? You know, there are people that make a lot of money buying gold and silver, but most of the people who do it are very shrewd traders who concentrate on that and who have a lot of money to begin with. In fact, I think all of these investments have one thing in common, and that is not all of them work. And second, you're not going to be able to make a lot of money unless you start with a lot of money. But look at what happens with real estate. You know yourself, if you've got a little bit of money in the bank, you can go out and buy, we'll say, a $100,000 home. You can buy a home in some parts of the country today for as little as $20,000 to $30,000, literally. That's very livable. In other areas, we know in Hawaii, Orange County, California, and some of the Washington to Boston corridor up in the $150,000 to $175,000 range. But let's say you buy that home and you weren't very creative in doing it and you put $10,000 of your own money as a down payment. That home today, across the United States, on average, is going up 4.8%. Right now, today. If that is a typical home, at the end of 1 year, it's going to be worth $104,800. You've put $10,000 down, you've made $4,800. What kind of a return is that on your investment? 48%, isn't it? Well, that's a little bit better than 5 or 10 or 15%. Matter of fact, it's 10 times better than the average return that most of them are giving us. So why doesn't everyone go out and buy real estate? I submit that it's because of fear and uncertainty, especially those who are starting out with maybe marginal credit, marginal cash. Look at that same property, that $100,000 property. When you buy that property with little or no money down because you know how, and that's what you're all trained to do, and instead of $10,000, you put only $1,000 of your own money as a down payment, all of a sudden that $4,800 return becomes what? It becomes a 480% return. You see, real estate, with the returns that we get on investment, with the fact that real estate for the last 130 years has been the one single investment that has gained consistently in value, real estate, in my opinion, offers us the best way out of that prison that we've created with our fear and uncertainty. I started out a few minutes ago telling you you need to control your fear and uncertainty. And notice I said control, not eliminate, because that's impossible. No one can ever completely eliminate fear and uncertainty. As a matter of fact, it's probably unhealthy to try to do it. Everyone has some fear and uncertainty, but I think those of us who are achievers have learned to control our fears rather than to be controlled by them. And I think that that takes courage. Mark Twain said, "Courage is resistance to fear. It is controlling of fear, not absence of fear." I told you earlier to write down, the only one who can change my situation in life is me. Believe in that. You do have the courage to control your fear and uncertainty. Every one of you deserves wealth. You deserve recognition. You deserve the personal satisfaction that comes from achievement. And the best news that I can give you is that you all can have it. All you have to do is control that fear and uncertainty. Define your goals, write them down, and go after them with every fiber of your being. You've got nothing to lose and you've got everything to gain. Go for it. And don't ever forget that focused mind power is one of the strongest forces in the universe. Thank you and good luck. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, the results you're seeing here don't just happen to other people. You can achieve these results too. Get started right now. There's no risk. With this new and updated system, you can begin in your spare time in just a few hours a week. You can do this anywhere in the country. You don't need good credit, and you can do it with no money down. The entire process is neatly laid out in your manual and all recorded on audio tape. And now, to make it crystal clear, I've also put all of the no money down techniques on videotape as well. But the most valuable part of my course, according to the thousands of students I've spoken to, comes at the end. And this is where I tell you exactly what to do to get started. What to do tomorrow morning, next week, next month. Think about what it would be like to be your own boss, to make your own hours. Think about how you'll feel knowing that you and your family have a secure and happy future. Make today the day you change your life. How do you really want to spend the rest of your life? What are your hopes, your dreams? For a minute, picture yourself 10 to 15 years from now. Is it a happy time? Did you make the right choices? Did you take advantage of all the opportunities that presented themselves? Did you recognize the opportunities? Did you give your family all you could have given them? Can you at least say you tried? Or did you always just say, well, things will get better? Here's your chance to take action and get your share of all life has to offer. Don't wait. Pick up the phone now and order my course. I guarantee it'll change your life.